And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Anytime you're talking about fundamentals in a market and direction, fundamentals take a little bit of time to play out.
We got crude oil today, kind of trading yesterday's value area really nicely, low to high.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Good morning and welcome to the market forecast for Thursday, May the 5th. We go from May the 4th be with you to Cinco de Mayo. Let me suggest holding off on the margaritas until after your trading day is done. Just listening to a little Fleetwood Mac, one of my favorites, Never Going Back, because that's what we should be doing, moving forward. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back. We're never going back. Good morning to my friends, family, and fellow futures traders. I'm John Hoagland. This, again, is the market forecast. Hopefully, if you are in the markets already this morning, you have things going your way already. There's a lot of interesting things, a lot of potential possibilities for everybody in these markets this morning. And as usual, we're going to try and put some sort of accurate context over the marketplace and always be thinking about risk management and staying patient. Ultimate patience. OPEC meeting today. Haven't seen any information come from that OPEC meeting here just yet. However, we are expecting some information as to their expectations for production over the next month. Jobless claims at 7:30 this morning. We came out, the last weeks were 180,000. They were looking for 182,000 initial jobless claims. Came out with an additional 18,000. Came out 200,000 initial jobless claims, continuing jobless claims. Last week was at 1.4 million. They were looking for 1,408,000 this morning, a little lower than expected at 1,384,000. But there was a revision higher to last week's numbers. It's always fun to try and decipher what all these mean. As far as production and costs are concerned, I'll bet you can bet that production is lower than expected and costs are higher than expected. We're still waiting for the 9:30 nat gas numbers. And as far as what we're focusing on, as far as traders this morning, U.S. stock indices have eased a little after one of the biggest up days this year, facing unemployment numbers tomorrow. Traders now will be preparing for the NFP numbers tomorrow. The Bank of England has followed expectations, raising rates by 0.25% to 1%. Earnings today, we had Shell, ConocoPhillips, and Anheuser-Busch all beating expectations, while Shopify missed on both earnings per share and revenues. That's it. We're looking for National Australia Bank after the close today, as long as BHP Group, Monster Beverage, and DoorDash after the close today. Nothing too impactful. Crude prices have held their gains. Of course, awaiting news from that OPEC meeting after kind of a surprise boost in inventories here in the U.S. I think it was around 1.5 million barrel additional to the inventory here in the U.S. As always, make sure you hit the lucky like button. Share, comment, question, feedback, heckling, and love are all welcome here on the Market Forecast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. This morning, looking at the VIX, it's up 2%, but after a big down day yesterday, it's down below 30 again at 26. Dollar index up slightly, 103.27, just hanging below that 52-week low, 52-week high, I should say. And the yield on the 10-year off a little bit this morning, 2.94%, still wrestling with that 3% level, even after the rise in rates yesterday. Again, happy Cinco de Mayo. I suggest leaving the tequila alone till after you're done trading. We don't want to be getting too loosey-goosey with our trading. yet another thing that I've done. Good morning, everybody. Let's see who we got here. Force Driven is first one in the room where I see it. You win the prize this morning, Force Driven. Brian, Federico, Dan Trader, good morning to you. And Shaw Cunningham, good morning. Zachary, Bill, Tachyon, my brother Rick, I love you. Theo, good morning. It's always a pleasure to see Theo. Andre Scott saw, and he conquered. J Trades, Terry King, Colonel Blake Stone. Good morning, Colonel. Jocklo, good morning. Dr. VJ, J. Crockett, Marcelo, Brett, Olaf, Mindels. There's a name I don't think I've seen before. Welcome to the Market Forecast. Thanks for chiming in and saying hello. Rusty Golfer, that should be my chat name. JD, good to see you this morning, sir. Always a pleasure. Devant, PD Legend, good morning. Let's be smart today. Of course, we're trying to trade smart every day. Expediter Dean, Trading Research, good morning from Indianapolis. You're probably looking at about 40 some degrees this morning, maybe a little bit of rain coming your way in Indianapolis. That's what we've got here. That's what you're going to be getting. Revenge of the Fifth. Good morning, Zachary, Olaf, Liam, Joe. Good morning, Trading Research. Yes, we had a little Fleetwood Mac this morning. I'd like to trust this market rally, but I don't know. Koss, I'm feeling the same way. And welcome to the Market Forecast, Koss. I don't know that I've seen you here before. Lacey's here to say hi. You want to say hi? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Say hi. All right. You being shy today? All right. You're not shy when you want me to pet you. Vince, good morning. Are we using bobbers or sinkers today? I don't know, but we're fishing. Sarah, always a good morning to you, and prayers and love to you as well. Dan Emmons, today's theme, Crude 109, British getting pounded in the ES and Nasdaq markets, and drunken hangover with NFP tomorrow. Kind of thinking that same thing. We're going to talk about that in the charts here coming up. Dan, you're reading my mind. Keith, good morning. RS, good morning. Stephen C, good morning. Hey, Bindles, haven't been here during the live thing, but I attend the Zoom on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. And speaking of which, that is today. It is Thursday. We are going to be having Make Hogue Money. And I'm going to put the link in so you can register now if you want to join us. Always looking for folks that want to talk and perhaps share their charts and bring your trade ideas. These are your trade ideas, not mine. I'm just here to talk and place the trades. But glad you're with us, Mindels. James P. Zachary, she's ready for treats. Yes, she's always ready for treats, right? JMW. Is that Johnny Wolkowiak? James P. starting step 2 today. Take it easy. Nice job, James P. Just dance with the one you brung. And we're looking forward to seeing your success. All right. We're not going to waste too much time here. I want to get through these charts and talk about the markets and be ready for Make Hogue Money. Let's jump in to the charts. So this is the daily on the S&Ps. We had a pretty emotional move to the upside yesterday. Volume was higher in New York. It was higher in futures, but I don't think it was all that impressive. And we lost open interest. We were really interested on the recap yesterday to see what kind of open interest we might have gained on that move to the upside, and we lost open interest. So there was not a lot of money coming into the long side on this big emotional move to the upside. So that's a couple of kind of disappointing nuances that makes me feel like this upside move is a little hollow. So kind of agreeing with our trader here, Koss, that wants to believe in this rally, but I don't know. So again, the two kind of nuances that stand out right away is the lack of an increase in open interest and the rather weak volume. When we look at the 30-minute chart, you'll see the vast majority of the volume of the day was on that push to the upside. But again, we did not entice new buyers into the marketplace. That's what makes me feel as though this rally might end up being a little bit hollow. We've seen hollow rallies. All of these were hollow. There was no additional increases in open interest, and we had that breakdown out of the bear flag last Friday. We got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Today is Thursday. We were right back up to the basic, that trend line that was the low of the bear flag. We traded right back to it, which puts us to the high from last week. Going back to the daily, look at the way this market is setting up an area of balance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, maybe 6 days. Now, inside of this, basically, this whole bar was last week's range. We did look down below it earlier this week, but we came back in. So I'm looking at the balance that we're in the daily chart here as last week's high and low. Well, we looked at it yesterday. We've got some overnight inventory to the short side. Settlement was up here, 42.95 quarter is settlement. The overnight trade started right about here, and we're lower than that now. It's the only reason I believe that there's some overnight inventory that's holding shorts. Where are we? Well, we have a late spike, and a huge late spike at that. It was at the 1:30 when Jay Powell started speaking, when the market really drove out of balance into an area, or into a imbalanced market state. It drove higher, drove higher, drove higher. I'm looking at the base of this late spike relatively early in this session. The base I'm looking at 42.08, but there's lots of trickery if this market starts to pull lower in trying to entice you to look for longs. You've got this kind of layover here with some volume. You've got this layover here with a kind of low volume node. So watching these high and low volume nodes might be useful for you for finding good trade locations today. But again, we expended a whole lot of energy. Look at all the volume yesterday occurred after the release at 130 bar. All of this volume came in. There was very little volume in the earlier session. It came in after the numbers came out, as we would likely be expecting, right? We were opening above value, but this is a market that flew out of balance. It hasn't had time to accept value, to accept price up at this, which gives us the idea of the late spike. Usually the late spike is the last 30 minutes or the last 30 minutes of the day, but this was so out of balance, we've got to take a look at where it broke out of balance, which again is that base of that late spike, 42.08. It's not as though this market is opening above the late spike. That would mark true, real early acceptance of higher pricing. This market is welcome to just come and repair this whole range, basically, if that's what it's going to do. Dan was talking about a hangover day. Well, this could certainly be a hangover day. We know we have important information due out tomorrow. We expended a lot of energy. We're opening in range, but above value in an area of price that could fall into repair. So I'm going to try and remain patient today. I don't think that the opening range is going to be fruitful, which these markets like to make a liar out of me. Watch it be fruitful. I'm going to stay patient, wait for the market to establish an early range, and focus my entries on the extremes of that early range. The daily range is our last week's high, last week's low. If they come into play, that would be nice, but I'm not expecting it. Crude oil. So yesterday we had a breakout above weekly kickoff high above this trend line, above this area where we've been looking for the market to accelerate once it accepts outside of it. Well, it accepted outside of it yesterday. We had okay volume, but we had almost no change in open interest, which is a little bit surprising and makes this breakout seem a little bit hollow. Today, I think, is where the real important information is going to come from OPEC, and where the real information is going to come from the marketplace. We didn't see a whole bunch of open interest. We saw higher volume. We didn't see the open interest come in yet, but this weekly kickoff level here is a level where I'm looking for a longer time frame to need to adjust inventory, and we just didn't see that yesterday. There is a lot of upside potential for new business up here. If we can't hold that weekly kickoff low, and this convergence on this trend line and weekly kickoff low tends to attract price, I'm looking to perhaps buy weakness in this market as long as we can hold that weekly kickoff high as support. Here's the 30-minute chart. Here's what I'm looking at. So here's weekly kickoff high. We traded above it. We closed above it. Settlement is 107.81. If you want to put that on your charts, go ahead. It looks like we're going to be opening with a gap. Again, gap rules. If we open with a gap and we can't close the gap relatively early, we start to look for opportunities to buy weakness, to look for our continuation to the upside. Again, I'm not looking at it right now. I don't know that we've had any new information from the OPEC meeting. We got to keep an eye on that, of course. So if this market opens and can't close the gap relatively early, I will be looking for opportunities to buy weakness and see this market continue to the upside, because it's set up to do it. Technically, this market is set up to do it. If OPEC, comes back with whatever they're doing, and the market doesn't like it, we could see this market continue to the upside, which is the last thing anybody really wants. As far as crude oil is concerned, we're putting enough money into our tanks. Here's the opening range, and how did I get all the way back here? So the opening range, about 23 ticks, taking a look down below it to begin with. Remember, we have some overnight longs. We've got a gap. If we can't close that gap relatively early, we're going to be looking to buy some of this weakness. Where does that gap close is my next question. The gap close is, let me put this data box up. On this high, the regular trading hour session high, 108.61. We've got some space before we see a gap close. So we can't close that gap. Look to buy weakness. Nasdaq, very similar to the S&Ps. They are brother and sister, or sister and sister, or brother and brother, whatever they are. Very similar. The Nasdaq kind of hinted that this market was falling into balance much sooner than the S&P did. Very emotional day yesterday. We had a higher volume. We did add some open interest in Nasdaq yesterday. We added approximately 4,000 in open interest. So that's a little bit more believing that this market is bringing in buyers. I'm not sure how impressive that number is on a day like yesterday, but at least there's that at least we didn't lose open interest. So there's maybe a little bit of a hint here that the Nasdaq, which has been presenting weaker, maybe have a little bit more of a buoyancy to it if we've continued to see buyers coming in. Balance on the daily chart, 30-minute. Juan, I set that for the equities, 8:30 to 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock is the cash close, and that's pretty much where the settlement is loosely tied to. All right, so Nasdaq, 30-minute. We have a late spike again. The base of that late spike is right down here, 13,231. We're opening in a late spike. That's an indication of possible acceptance of higher pricing. Doesn't mean that the market can't come all the way down and test the base of the late spike. And again, this market was very emotional yesterday. There's a lot of perhaps areas that the market may seek to return to see if there's any business to do. And we've got a high volume node up here with the point of control, which is around 13,502. And we've got a high volume node down here also. So if we open between them, there is a tendency for the market to trade to both of those high volume nodes, almost like separate points of control that the market has to go and recheck. We don't know what's going to happen, and anything can happen. That's our favorite acronym here on the market forecast, ACH. Anything can happen, and it probably will. So again, I'm going to try and stay patient, look for opportunities after the early range establishes itself, and work the extremes of that. I find myself really wishing that I could just tell you exactly what was going to happen, but nobody can. We don't know. We just have to set up our hypotheses. And when those hypotheses appear to be coming true, we trade to that strategy that suits that hypothesis. Speaking of hypothesis, here's the gold daily. Volume was not great on the push up yesterday, but we did manage to eke out an additional 13,000 contracts in open interest. It's looking more and more like quite possibly we could have put in a short time frame low down here, and now we're seeing continuation to the upside in the regular trading hours. A big boost, and the most of that boost in open interest, I'm sure, came after the regular trading hour 12:30 central close in gold. We're going to see that in the 30-minute. I'm monitoring for continuation. One of the things that I'm going to be looking at, if I'm holding longs in this, here's the close. Settlement was all the way down here, 1868.80. And then the information comes out. So we put a late spike in. Look at all the volume on this. No volume throughout the day, all the volume after the regular trading hour close. So this matters. This late spike matters. We've opened above the late spike, which is the highest probability of acceptance of higher pricing. So we're looking for opportunities to buy this market on weakness if we can get it. I'm monitoring for continuation by watching Delta. If we see price continuing to push higher and Delta increases in negativity, that may be an indication or a hint that we have real buyers continuing to push this market higher. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And Delta is not an exact science. It's like everything. It's a spine tingle, a neck, a hair on the neck standing up, tea leaves, chicken bones. All of these nuances are we have to kind of compress, digest, and then make decisions based around it. So if I'm going to be long and I'm looking for continuation, it would be really nice for us to see negative delta on higher pricing. That says that there's somebody, some traders, some money coming into the long side and supporting price. All right. And for the euro, we had good volume on the move up yesterday, but not tremendous. Much better on the downside. We added 5,500 in open interest, but now we're seeing potential rejection of higher pricing. The late spike did not hold. We opened below the base of the late spike. Here's our late spike. We've opened back below the base of the late spike. We've basically almost closed the gap that we left last week or the week before, almost closed this gap. Almost is probably close enough for me for rock and roll. It's like being in a rock band. If your guitar is close to being tuned, That's close enough for rock and roll, and I'm going to call that a close enough for a gap close. But we've rejected that area. We've rejected the late spike, which the base is, see if I can see this, 105.90, 1.5. I'm calling this the base of the late spike, and we are below it. So I'm looking for this market to probably range, probably stay relatively close to yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before's area of value. If we start to kind of show signs of acceptance back in this late spike and back in this gap, that may change things for me. And here's the 10-year. I don't know what to think of this 10-year. The rates went up, and the 10-year rates lowered. We had a big spike to the upside yesterday. Sometimes these things just don't make sense, and I have to accept it. Maybe I'm not that smart, and there's really good odds that that's true. We lost open interest yesterday. We lost 21,000 on that push to the upside. Now that makes sense. That makes sense to me. Looks like cooler heads are prevailing today. Here's the 30-minute. Okay. Got the late spike. We opened in the late spike. Now it looks like we're wrestling with the late spike low, the base, 1822. We start to show signs of acceptance below that level. It is a decent probability that we could trade back to the low of value, even though this isn't a true value area special situation play. I'm looking at this market like it is showing signs of rejection of the late spike early in the session here. Seller control. And let's take a look now at the nat gas, which is such a fascinating market. All right. Good open interest increase yesterday on this push, finally to really show some acceptance for this week above weekly kickoff high, which is 792. Volume wasn't all that tremendous. That doesn't concern me as much as the 12,000 in open interest we added on this push to the upside yesterday. Most of that push to the upside did occur in the overnight session, so we spent most of the session yesterday range bound and just acquiring somebody, accumulating a position, probably thinking it's to the long side because we held price. We've got a gap down below with which to check. We've got a naked point of control down below with which to check, and basically we've opened in range and value. So that has me keeping my hand off my natural gas mouse, at least for now. I got to wait and see what the market kind of presents as far as the early range is concerned when we open in range and in value. We'll have to see how things play. Hopefully, we've been able to at least put some degree of context into the markets. And hopefully things are going to be going your way. Biden administration will seek to buy 60 million barrels of crude oil. That's not going to do it, but hey, that's a good effort. Yeah, you guys are talking about the rate hike yesterday. Then the 10-year rate drops, right? Yeah. And, that's a lot of folks were thinking they were going to go with the 75 basis point jump, which the market celebrated when it didn't. And we're going to see those rates continue to creep up. Sonny, hello. First day in the combine today. Welcome to the trading combine. Keep coming. Keep checking out the market forecast, market recap, coaching, and today, make Hogue money. We've got about 5 minutes, we're going to be in that Zoom room. We're going to be looking forward to seeing everybody and thinking about trades. Anne Marie, if you'd like to join us, I'd love to hear your voice and have your thoughts on some possible early opportunities. If you don't know what Make Hogue Money is, we go into a Zoom room and I show a basic profile, a basic platform. I invite some people that want to raise their hands or that want to speak. I make you a presenter. You're going to be able to show your charts. You're going to be able to talk about trade ideas. The whole idea is to make me money. I am not making the choices. Our team is. We vote on them, we discuss them, we think about them, we talk about them, and people are really enjoying it. And I would love to see you there, Anne Marie. I know you are busy. You are a professional trader, but if you have the time, I would certainly welcome to make you a presenter and just see what's going on in the S&Ps this morning. Other than that, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there. Everybody contributes. Everybody gets the chance to vote for trades. Hopefully we have time to vote. Sometimes we don't get a lot of time to do that. But, hey, that's part of trading, right? There were a lot of things we didn't have time to do when we were trading in the pit. We just had to do it. Here's the link to register, Anne Marie. Just register and pop in, and if you're interested and willing to speak and share your charts, share your ideas, we'd love to have you. It would be wonderful. So let's take our deep breath. Stay humble, grateful, and creative, accepting of what the market information is telling us. Thank you, Anne Marie, Nico. Daniel finished trading combine. Now in the express funded. What's your advice? Thanks. Take your time. Take your time. Now is not the time to change everything. You've got a process and a strategy or a series of strategies that have brought you to this level of success. Continue what you were doing, and hopefully we're going to continue to see you continuing to succeed. All right. So, all right. Give me a couple of minutes to get in the room, get everything ready. Looking forward to seeing all of you there. I'm excited about this. We've got some big opportunities today. We just got to find the right way. All right. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Keep saying prayers for world peace. We'll see you in a minute.